Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Today we have a bunch of gaming news that is breaking. Now, we got a lot of information on Sony, the PlayStation 5 Pro, on them getting or acquiring new developers, entire studios. We got a bunch of crazy stories. Now, first, I want to say to you guys that today I was going to actually do Flight Simulator. I was going to have it on the channel. I was going to do an analysis of the frames, let you guys know the performance, but unfortunately, I cannot get into that game. Now, everyone is reporting that you cannot get online. You have to wait in a queue, and I was waiting for hours and hours, and it still didn't allow me into the queue. It gave me all kinds of errors, and a lot of gamers are just not able to play this game day one. And I have to say this is extremely disappointing. Now, I was provided a review code from Microsoft, so I'm not going to complain because I didn't actually have to pay for the game, and it is also included in my Game Pass service. However, gamers out there did go out and pay for this game or subscribe to Game Pass specifically for this game, and for them to be unable to play it on day one is unacceptable. Now, I don't want to go too hard in, but it just seems like Microsoft or Xbox just can't catch a break. Now, it's the launch day. Your game should work on launch day. Let's say there's a little few issues, maybe for 5-10 minutes or something like that. It's still not acceptable on launch day, but sometimes things happen. But not to be able to play the game at all is unacceptable. Now, when I have a chance to actually get into the game, I will indeed have some coverage on the channel. We'll analyze the frame rates on the Xbox Series X, what resolution it's running at. We're going to compare it against PC. We're going to compare PC, I should say Steam, against the Microsoft Store version. So I'll have a bunch of coverage on the game. It does look fantastic. I'm really excited to play it, but I'm disappointed that this game is not working day one. Now, let's just get into all of the Sony stories because we have a lot to cover today. The PlayStation 5 Pro is performing excellent for me. I'm really enjoying the performance that system gives me on a 4K 144 Hz screen. Now, unfortunately, there are a few issues, and I did discuss this in yesterday's video, so we're not going to go over that. We're going to talk about good news today, and that's the Callisto Protocol got a PlayStation 5 Pro update today that offers 4K 60 with full ray tracing, and if you have an 8K display, up to 30 FPS at 8K resolution. That is extremely impressive for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, on PC, in order to run 4K 60 with ray tracing, you really need a powerful rig. This game was really demanding. If you don't remember on console, the consoles were brought to their knees with this game. They didn't have the best of performance. They could barely get up to 30 FPS. It was a game that really challenged the console. Now it's running at 4K 60 FPS, so it's running at double the frame rate, and it's running even up to 8K 30 FPS. That is an extremely impressive result for this game. Now, I will test this game on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'll let you guys know how the settings are, the image quality. We're gonna test the frame rate on this game to see if it's holding a locked 60 FPS and if VRR is working well in this game. I think they're gonna have to make some compromises, obviously. So I think in this game, if they're getting it up to 8K 30 FPS and they're running it at 4K 60 with ray tracing, I think they're probably going to be using it from like 1080p up to 4K with PSSR. Now, if they're trying to tell us that this game is going to resolve a 4K image, then they better be using it from something higher than 900p like some of these other games that we saw. Now, I'm going to have to take this game through its paces. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to splice any type of gameplay footage of my own into this video. If I'm able to, you probably have seen it up to this point anyways. Now, I will once again have this on the channel. We're going to go into all the details and do a complete analysis on it. So overall, it was a pretty good day for PlayStation news. I thought, it's good news. I'll cover it tomorrow, but then some more news dropped, and this is on the PlayStation portal, and this is coming courtesy of the PlayStation blog. Once again, I'll link it in the description down below. Now, they go on to say that the PlayStation Plus premium members will have access to test cloud streaming in its beta form for a select catalog of PlayStation 5 games. games. Now, they go on to say that today we're pleased to announce a new system software update for the PlayStation Portal that will begin releasing starting later today and in Europe on Wednesday, which will introduce refinements in the audio experience, including speaker audio output adjustment to make the volume lower when the audio level is set to minimum. You will now be able to adjust settings for your PlayStation Link device from the PlayStation Portal settings menu, allowing you to optimize the volume and side tone volume. This update will also include a beta version of the new feature that many fans have been asking for: support for cloud streaming on PlayStation Portal. And when the update is live, PlayStation Plus Premium members will be able to participate in a beta for cloud streaming on PlayStation Portal, allowing select PlayStation 5 games in the PlayStation Plus game catalog to be streamed directly from our servers without the need of a PlayStation 5 console. Now, this is awesome, and this was one of the head scratchers when this system was released. A lot of people were wondering, why can you not play games remotely from the cloud? Why do you have to be tethered to the PlayStation 5 console? Now, this is a huge update. Now, the PlayStation 5 Portal was a surprise hit. A lot of people thought nobody would buy it. There was a lot of, posts of people saying, what's the need for this? You're tethered to your PlayStation 5. And I'll say personally, when my kids are taking up the television and I just want to play my PlayStation 5, it's really handy to have. Or when I'm on the main TV and one of my kids wants to play the PlayStation, I can hand them the Portal and they can just go off into their room and leave me alone. Now, honestly, it's a really good console. When you're away from the house, if you have a really good internet connection, it streams really good. Now, obviously, you're not going to play some type of competitive game on it, but single player games or just some quick arcade games, it's really good away from the house. So it makes sense that now they're enabling PlayStation 5 games to be streamed on this system. Like I said, this was a surprise hit. Its sales far exceeded expectations. And once again, with this update coming out, I think that the PlayStation Portal will be a hot seller this holiday season. I'm excited to try it. Now, I'm going to assume that I have the update. I'll try it later on. And of course, I'll report on it in future videos. Now, also, we have some news on the PlayStation 6. Now, this is crazy. We just got the PlayStation 5 Pro and we're already getting information on the PlayStation 6. Now, this is coming courtesy of videocars.com like usual. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Now, next generation systems from Microsoft, this was already confirmed that they're going to be using CDNA and RDNA. Now, basically, this is unifying the architecture, so it's just one architecture. And I think that's going to make development a lot easier. Now, they are saying that this is going to be in the PlayStation 6 as well. And it would make logical sense because we're hearing reports that the next Xbox Series X is going to come out in 2026. Now, UDNA is set to launch in the second quarter of 2026, or they're going to start making mass production of these GPUs. So it kind of lines up. Now, obviously, the PlayStation 6 would also have this architecture. They wouldn't be on RDNA 4, which is the generation that we are on now, or at least we will be on in January when it's announced at CES. And I have a funny feeling that the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be also announced as having full RDNA 4 features. Now, from what I can see from RDNA 4, it's basically extensions and corrections and fixes for RDNA 3. Obviously, they add some machine learning AI on there. They add better ray tracing and just refinements overall. So it's not going to be a huge architectural departure from it. So it would make full sense why the PlayStation 5 Pro would have an RDNA 4 GPU in it. Now, when we look at the system from teardowns, a lot of people are reporting that it's 4 nanometers. And I find it really interesting that a lot of outlets are not following up on that. And that would lead me to believe that it is RDNA 4 and that Sony really can't talk about it until AMD announces it themselves at CES. Now, AMD is a fierce competitor to NVIDIA, and they don't want to give them any type of advantage to let them know exactly the full capabilities of RDNA 4 because this affects pricing, the market, gamers, mindshare, etc. So we're not going to get all of the details of the PlayStation 5 until CES when we get all the details of AMD's next generation architecture, which is RDNA 4. Now, the article goes on to say the unified architecture known as UDNA now has a rumored debut date. According to Zhang, a chip-held hardware leaker with a good track record, including leak roadmaps, said that AMD is preparing to introduce the UDNA gaming GPU no sooner than the second quarter of 2026. This could be the next generation Radeon, which may or may not focus on the enthusiast segment once again. RDNA 4 architecture is already confirmed to target more affordable segments. Now, the RDNA 4 GPUs, they're not going to target the 5090. I think at best we might get a GPU that's close to a 4090 performance, but they're not going after the top segment. And it kind of makes sense because most gamers, they don't actually own a 4090. It's a small market for the high-end GPUs. Yes, of course, it's good for bragging rights. It's good for productivity as well. You can do a lot with those GPUs, but the average gamer is not spending $2,000 on a GPU. So it makes sense that they target this segment. Now, if they release something that is very close to a 4090 in performance, but at a fraction of the price, that is a win for AMD. Now, their next generation UDNA cards, I'm hearing also that these will be targeting the high-end segment once again. Now, that would also be great for gamers because that would force NVIDIA to lower their prices. Now, I like NVIDIA stuff, but because they're the only show in town that has the best features, they can charge whatever they want. And unfortunately, we are paying a lot for the top of the line GPUs. We used to have some affordable GPUs with like the 3080s and whatnot, but even those have become more expensive because of the lack of competition from AMD. So hopefully this is successful. Hopefully the RDNA 4 cards do good just to drive down the prices. And I do have high hopes for UDNA, and I do think it's going to be fantastic in the consoles. Now, the leaker goes on to say that there is no RDNA 5 or successor to CDNA. AMD is reportedly returning to a unified architecture similar to GCN, which powered one of the most powerful GPU architectures to date. The unified architecture may simplify development, but it's unclear how it will affect both consumer and data center segments, given that some components like ray tracing are not required for both. Now, this leaker goes on to say that the Sony PlayStation 5 will adopt UDNA, and the CPU is still undecided between Zen 4 and Zen 5, and Sony's handheld will use AMD hardware. Now, this is crazy. Zen 4, Zen 5, please, Sony, Zen 5. Zen 5 in a console would be incredible. Unfortunately, this generation, just because of cost reasons, we cannot get a better CPU in the PlayStation 5 Pro. And that's pretty much everyone's major complaint with that system, because CPU heavy games, they're not going to see a big uptick in performance because they're only overclocking that CPU by 10%. And 10%, yes, it's better, but it's not much better. You're still going to be GPU bound on certain games. Now, the CPU that's in those consoles is pretty old now. We have to be honest on that. Now, I know they can do some optimizations, but truth be told, it would be much better with a current gen Zen CPU. Now, Zen 5 is madness. I hope that the next generation consoles have Zen 5. I think for sure they'll have a Zen 4 processor, but Zen 5 would be awesome. Now, we're also hearing of Sony and a handheld, and I think that both Microsoft and Sony, they're going to release their next generation consoles with a handheld that you'll be able to dock, that you'll be able to use on the go, that offers great performance for what it is, that still plays the games of its bigger brother consoles, and that is run by machine learning AI and has like a better CPU. I really believe that that's what they're going with here, because we're hearing that from both Sony and Microsoft. Now, Microsoft, on the other hand, they're choosing between ARM and AMD. Now, that would be really strange just to see an ARM processor in there. I don't know how that would affect some of the compatibility issues. So I don't know how much I put faith in that. I really do believe that they would probably go with AMD. Now, these are all rumors, so of course, take it with a grain of salt, but we have heard about the RDNA and CDNA architecture coming together. I've heard about that for quite some time. I've seen some papers on some of this stuff. So it is happening. So it appears that this is going to happen in the second quarter of 2026. Anyways, I wonder what you guys think about all this. What do you think about a PlayStation 6 console having a Zen 5 CPU, having a UDNA GPU in it? It would be substantially more powerful than what this generation is offering. The ray tracing, the CPU performance, the machine learning would be fantastic on the PlayStation 6. What are your thoughts of the PlayStation 5 Pro running the Callisto Protocol at 4K 60 with ray tracing and 8K 30? Now, this is insane. Now, this is like the third game on the PlayStation 5 Pro that has 8K and 30 FPS. Gran Turismo 7 has it. F124 has it, and now the Callisto Protocol is also running at 8K. Now, I want to see this for myself, so I'm gonna have to watch people's reviews to see how good the 8K quality is, because unfortunately I don't have an 8K TV, and in order to trigger this mode, you do have to have an 8K display. But the 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, I will be able to capture. Like I said, I'll have it on the channel. We'll do a full analysis of it, as well as the other Microsoft games that are coming out this week. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think about today's topics in the comment section down below. And like I usually say, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.